you're guilty of massive amounts of misinformation and disinformation as a part of a propaganda campaign.
Attorney General Pam Bondi has directed federal prosecutors to launch a grand jury investigation into members of the Obama administration over the 2016 Russia investigation.
A lot of them are guilty of it.
Yeah,
a lot of the people that are in that White House press conference, a lot of the organizations they work for, distributed absolute lies.
Total lies.
Tulsi Gabbard declassified documents that she says shows Obama administration officials manufactured intelligence to make it look like Russia interfered in the 2016 election.
How many of them during the whole Russiagate thing?
A ton of people think that the Russia thing was real.
Yeah, still.
I mean, the whole Steele dossier where it was like completely concocted.
Funded by the Clinton campaign.
Correct.
Speeches, flawless delivery, and a carefully crafted image meet their match when Joe Rogan tears straight to the polished facade. With precision and brutal wit, he dismantles the myth of cool, exposing the carefully scripted politics, the strategic disappearances, and the celebrity-style branding that kept millions hooked. Every calculated pause, every curated moment, Rogan rips apart as nothing more than performance art disguised as leadership. This is an admiration. It's a ruthless unmasking of a master marketer in a presidential
Give me
suit.
some volume and go full screen.
What you know now, do you wish you had a third term? You know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony, I'd be fine with that.
We know he wasn't really running the country.
Yeah.
We used to think he was actually running the country, and now they're like, no, he didn't even see those executive orders. That was all auto.
Barack Obama has built an entire second career out of turning every public appearance into a cinematic monologue. Joe Rogan slices right into that perfectly framed image, pointing out how the man talks like a philosopher but moves like a brand ambassador. Obama doesn't just speak, he orchestrates. The pauses, the lowered voice, the slow lift of the chin. It's less a political leader and more a theater student who got lost and wandered into the Oval Office. Rogan sees through the act and calls it for what it is, performance art in a suit.
He doesn't give a
Here in the United States, countless publications provoke offense. Like me, the majority of Americans are Christian, and yet we do not ban blasphemy against our most sacred beliefs.
He doesn't give a They're
That's
just
a flat
going
out
for
goddamn.
it.
As president of our country and commander-in-chief of our military, I accept that people are going to call me awful things every day, and I will always defend their right to do so.
Flat out lie.
Efforts to restrict speech can quickly become a tool to silence critics and oppress minorities. We do so because, given the power of faith in our lives, the strongest weapon against hateful
The
speech.
former president has mastered the art of being everything to everyone while standing firmly for as little as possible. One day he's a cool, relatable dad figure. The next he's an untouchable statesman. And sometimes he's both in the same sentence. It's a juggling act that has kept his fan base hypnotized for over a decade. Rogan tears into that duality, mocking how Obama can talk for hours about change and progress, yet somehow still make everything sound like a college brochure that's been rewritten to avoid offending anyone.
This is the accusation. They're throwing around the word treason.
I hate to say this, but President Barack Obama, there is now incontrovertible evidence that he was the spearhead of a seditious conspiracy to subvert the will of the American people and overthrow the United States government back in 2016.
They're saying that Obama knew that Russia did not meddle in the election, did not have any
The cult of
impact.
personality around Obama is where Rogan digs deepest. People treat him like he's a human embodiment of hope, as if he can walk into a room and fix the economy just by loosening his tie. The reality is far less glamorous. Behind the smooth delivery and the perfect smile is a politician who played the game like everyone else, only with better lighting and a better playlist. Rogan hammers the point that charisma isn't policy, and charm doesn't solve problems. But Obama's greatest trick has been convincing people it does.
Obama, during this Kamala Harris administration, it changed my opinion of that guy.
I don't understand how we got so toxic, so divided, and so bitter.
He said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. Donald Trump said that.
Did you have a high opinion of him before?
Yeah, I did just as an intelligent person, a statesman. He's probably like caught up in the system. It's very difficult to make real meaningful change. You think you're going to do something and then you get into office and you're like, oh God, what a quagmire this place is. But watching him just straight up lie about Trump.
The childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes.
The thing that got me was that very fine people thing, the white supremacist thing. They just kept trying to say that he was a racist.
When he's not complaining, he's trying to sell you stuff. You're running for president and you're hawking merchandise. Gold sneakers, $100,000 watch. Why are you selling the watch? What are you doing?
Which is this thing that I think worked in like 2017. I don't think it works anymore. I don't think people believe it anymore. We've gotten numb to
Rogan
all...
zeroes in on the post-presidency glow-up. While most ex-presidents disappear into a haze of memoirs and golf, Obama has turned his after years into a luxury lifestyle brand. It's all Netflix productions, Spotify playlists, and speaking tours that come with ticket prices high enough to pay for a small country's healthcare system. Rogan shred the idea that this is about public service. This is a man cashing in on the myth he built while in office, and he's doing it with the finesse of Silicon Valley CEO launching a new app.
We must, absolutely must, hold every one of these criminals accountable for the crimes that they committed. They are the most heinous crimes committed in American history.
But yet promoted this idea.
James Comey, John Brennan, Clapper, Rice, Biden was in the meeting. They briefed Barack Obama on Hillary Clinton's plan to, quote, tie Trump to Russia collusion lies. It consumed our national discourse for 5 years.
And then there's been some incredible clips of all these different news reporters, CNN and MSNBC, just saying over and over and over again, clear evidence of Russian collusion.
Then there's the ever-present nostalgia machine. Obama's fans cling to the memory of his speeches like their comfort food, ignoring the fact that much of his presidency was a masterclass in strategic inaction. Rogan doesn't let that slide. He reminds everyone that while Obama was selling hope, he was also perfecting the art of political fence-sitting. It's one thing to inspire people. It's another to inspire them into a coma of passivity. Rogan spares no mercy for Obama's obsession with being the cool president, from the basketball games to the celebrity hangouts. Every move was calculated to maintain an image of effortless charm. The podcast host rips into the man's ability to be the center of attention without ever truly saying anything controversial. Obama could talk about war, economic collapse, or national crisis, and somehow make it all sound like a college graduation speech. It's a talent, sure, but it's also a dodge.
When you look at the policies and the attacks on whistleblowers and drone strikes and all the other shit that happened during that administration and the coup in Russia, and like there's a lot that's, from a foreign policy perspective, that's very similar to what George Bush was doing. But what they were doing was highlighting social justice issues. That came about during his administration, largely obscured the fact that the foreign policies were very similar to what George Bush was doing.
Compares it to a stand-up comic who tells a story for 20 minutes, gets huge applause, but never actually delivers a punchline. The crowd leaves smiling, but when they think about it later, they realize nothing was really said. Rogan laughs at the carefully managed image of Obama as a unifier. In reality, the country was as divided as ever, but the marketing made it look like he was single-handedly holding the nation together. It's like giving credit to a mall Santa for keeping Christmas alive while ignoring the retail chaos happening in the background. The illusion worked, though, because Obama's delivery is so smooth it feels like a warm blanket on a cold night. He warns about political corruption while swimming comfortably in the same swamp as everyone else. Rogan calls this a political yoga routine. Extreme flexibility in morals and positions, always ending with a deep bow to the camera.
There is what Obama said on the same video. There is what Trump actually said. It's disgusting. It's a disgusting lie. And he's talking about George Washington. He said George Washington had slaves. Let's play it.
On both sides of a white supremacist rally.
You had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down a very, very important statue from Robert E. Lee to another name. Was George Washington a slave owner? So will George Washington now lose his status? Excuse me, how about Thomas Jefferson? Are we going to take down the statue? Because he was a major slave owner. And I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned.
Rogan skewers a Netflix empire, too, mocking the idea that these productions are meant to inform and inspire. They're glossy PR pieces that keep the Obama brand alive, perfectly timed to remind people of the good old days. It's like a musician who hasn't released a hit in years, but keeps selling greatest hits albums to fans who refuse to admit the music's over. Rogan points out that when a political figure controls their own storytelling platform, what you get isn't history. It's propaganda with a better soundtrack. The obsession with legacy is where Rogan lands some of his hardest punches. Obama's entire post-presidency revolves around controlling how history remembers him. Every interview, every documentary, every public appearance is another brushstroke on a self-portrait he wants to hang in the Hall of Great Leaders. But the truth is messier, and Rogan's there to smear the paint. The timing is impeccable, too impeccable to be accidental. It's the kind of media sense you'd expect from a Kardashian, not a former president. And yet it works, because Obama knows his audience and plays them like a finely tuned instrument.
Is that the 2011 thing where Obama allowed people to use propaganda against United States citizens?
Hillary Clinton is and has been an outstanding public servant.
What was done then under Obama, effective repeal of it, was called the Smith Modernization Act.
She was a great Secretary of State for me.
At the time, the media and media control was seen as the linchpin crux of winning the Cold War, piping in pro-U.S. media influence.
Policy of my administration is to encourage transparency. Why my emails, the BlackBerry that I carry around, all those records are available.
Congress recognized the Frankensteinian monster they were creating by authorizing a covert, permanent Department of Dirty Tricks, and this is their phrase, not mine.
Hillary is instructed those emails that had to do with official business need to be disclosed.
To infiltrate and co-opt the universities, the unions, the media, the politicians, the judges, the whole swarm army.
Selective activism doesn't go unnoticed either. Rogan calls out how Obama chooses causes the way an influencer picks brand deals. They have to align perfectly with his image and present zero risk of alienating his fan base. There's nothing brave about championing issues that are already trendy. Real leadership means taking stands when it's uncomfortable, and that's a lane Obama rarely swerves into. Rogan paints him as a politician who loves the appearance of risk without any of the actual danger. The celebrity friendships come under fire too. Obama surrounds himself with Hollywood's elite, creating the illusion of being in touch with the culture while actually living in a bubble more insulated than most royal families. Rogan rips into the absurdity of a man who claims to speak for the everyday American while spending most of his time on private islands with billionaires. It's hard to sell relatability when your weekends look like Vanity Fair photo spread.
You never seen it?
No.
It's amazing. He gets a glass of Flint tap water, and I swear to God, he drinks it like this. Watch this.
Can I get some water? I really did need a glass of water. This is not a stunt.
Usually when something isn't a stunt, you have to say
It's
that.
100% a stunt. When was the last time a president stopped a speech to ask, can I get a glass of water? They would never do that. They would have water ready
Rogan's
for him.
roast isn't just about Obama's politics. It's about the entire brand he's built. The tailored suits, the perfectly balanced tone, the curated playlists. It's all part of a package designed to sell feeling, not reality. That feeling is nostalgia for a version of America that existed mostly in speeches and campaign slogans. And while it's an effective marketing strategy, Rogan reminds everyone that nostalgia doesn't pay the bills or fix the messes left behind. By the time Rogan's done, Obama isn't a flawless orator or the beacon of hope. He's a highly skilled performer who has turned politics into a personal franchise. And the roast doesn't stop here, because every carefully planned move Obama makes from here on out is just more fuel for the fire Rogan's already started. The performance continues, and so does the takedown.
Like, I've had candid conversations with Tulsi Gabbard about what it was like.
It's a disservice to the American people that former President Obama's office and others who are criticizing the transparency that is being delivered by releasing these documents. They are doing a disservice to the American people and trying to deflect away from their culpability in what is a historic scandal.
She's a person, tries to be friends with everybody, tries to reach across the aisle. She's got
Rogan
that whole...
drives deeper into theater of Obama's post-presidency, hammering the absurdity of a man who once commanded the world stage, now moonlighting as a streaming service content creator. Every project looks less like a meaningful cultural contribution and more like a brand expansion exercise. The topics are always safe, the tone always polished, the narrative's always flattering. It's the kind of storytelling where the hero just happens to look suspiciously like the executive producer. The whole thing operates like a greatest hits tour where the performer knows the fans aren't there for anything new. They just want to hear the classics and bask in the nostalgia. Rogan skewers a delusion that this is about civic engagement when it's clearly about keeping the Obama brand in the premium tier.
Isn't it crazy, like, when Obama was president, worst they could get on him is, remember when he wore that tan suit?
Why did you take issue with the suit?
Because you know the image makers in the White House. Here's a president coming out at such a serious moment where he should be addressing the country on such a serious matter, and he looked like he was on his way to a party at the Hamptons.
He never had a single moment publicly where he stumbled, where he said something really stupid. This is insane.
And there's the merchandising of ideals. Every book, every podcast, every production is infused with the same market-tested tone of moral authority. Rogan points out how Obama has essentially turned the idea of leadership into a product line, complete with an audience that treats buying into it as an act of patriotism. The irony is that the customers feel empowered while the seller walks away with a bigger check and a shinier legacy. Rogan takes another swing at the strategic invisibility Obama deploys whenever political reality gets messy. And when he does reappear, it's always with the kind of perfectly framed presence that makes headlines without risking controversy. Rogan notes how this is a political equivalent of a pop star releasing a surprise single right when public interest starts to wane. The content doesn't have to be groundbreaking. It just has to remind everyone you still exist. It's a performance art cycle with no end. And Rogan makes it clear that the act is still running strong.